You think you know her, but you have no idea what's coming. Right now, she's your wife. She's the woman you married. She makes breakfast for the kids, folds the laundry, reminds you where you left your keys, and smiles at the little jokes that make your life feel normal. She's predictable, comfortable, familiar, the glue holding your world together. You see her sipping coffee at the kitchen table, scrolling her phone while the sunlight hits her hair just right, and you think everything is fine. You tell yourself she's happy. You tell yourself you know her because you've been together for 15 years. You think stability is permanent. But here's the thing. Stability is an illusion. You see the routine, the habits, the smiles. You think life is steady, but underneath, subtle shifts are already happening, almost imperceptible. Maybe she lingers in the mirror a little longer than usual. Maybe she laughs a little too hard at someone's comment online. Maybe she starts talking about what life could be with a sparkle in her eye that wasn't there before. Small, seemingly innocent things. But these are the whispers before the storm. And make no mistake, there is a storm coming. You might not notice it yet, but biology doesn't wait, and neither do the changes in her mind, her priorities, her desires. Stay with me until the end, because what you think is normal now won't be normal for long. The woman you know, the one who raised your kids, built your home, stood by your side, she's about to change. And when she does, the rules of your life will change with her. Pay attention. The calm you see is only the surface. Below, a transformation is already underway. It starts subtly, but it never ends quietly. At first, it's almost nothing. A glance in the mirror that lingers a second too long. A throwback photo she pulls out, laughing a little too hard at her younger self. A comment about how life used to be, with a sparkle in her eyes that wasn't there before. These are the whispers, the quiet signals that something inside her is shifting. Men often miss it. They see her drinking wine with friends or updating her wardrobe and think it's harmless. They notice the new haircut or the extra effort at the gym and assume she's just taking care of herself. They don't see the underlying hunger, the subtle craving for attention, for validation, for the feeling of being desired in a way that long-term stability can't provide. She starts experimenting. New clothes, different hairstyles, skincare routines she swore she'd never do. Maybe she jokes about going on a girls' trip, or casually mentions a coworker who complimented her. It all seems innocent, normal, fun. But these are the early sparks that can ignite a fire. The nostalgia grows. She talks about her past with a glow, recalling moments you barely remember, stories she once told with embarrassment, now told with longing. She's not just reminiscing, she's comparing, imagining, testing the waters. And here's what's dangerous. While you're distracted by routines, bills, and the kids, she's quietly measuring her life against a memory she can never return to and a fantasy that may never be real. This is the first warning, the first tremor before the earthquake. Ignore it at your peril, because what starts as a glance in the mirror, a story from her past, or a harmless compliment, can become something that changes everything. Stay alert. These first signs are easy to miss, but impossible to ignore once they grow. What's happening inside her isn't a choice, it's biology. By the time a woman hits her late 30s, early 40s, her brain is quietly rewiring itself. Dopamine pathways that once made a compliment from you feel exciting now barely register. The emotional highs she used to get from your devotion are no longer enough. What once thrilled her, weekend getaways, dinner dates, long conversations, now feels routine, almost invisible. Her brain craves novelty, excitement, proof that she's still desired in ways she can feel deep in her body. It's not vanity, it's not disloyalty, its identity is collapsing and reshaping itself. The woman who built her self-worth on being wanted suddenly finds that the foundation she trusted has shifted. Her priorities change, Her mind rewires to chase what gives her that chemical spark again. And yes, the desire for validation from strangers, compliments from someone who doesn't have to give them, is part of the system biology set up long before you ever met her. Meanwhile, men experience midlife completely differently. Society tells him he's entering his prime. Experience, confidence, and even physical changes often increase his value in the dating world. He ages with reassurance. She ages with alarm. That contrast is crucial. He can feel good about himself while still enjoying stability. She sees time slipping, options closing, and the excitement she once knew fading. This isn't a moral failing. It's not a rebellion against you. It's a natural process, a biological inevitability. Her body and mind are reacting to changes she cannot control. Understanding this is key. If you see her actions as betrayal, you'll miss the truth. She's not evil. She's responding to a crisis written into her very chemistry, a shifting identity that's been building for decades. Pay attention. Recognize it early, because the more you understand this rewiring, the less you'll be blindsided when the changes start showing in ways you can't ignore. It starts quietly, scrolling through Instagram or Facebook while sipping morning coffee. Just a few minutes a day, nothing harmful, or so it seems. But every post she sees, every flawless photo, every smiling woman claiming she found herself at 42, is a spark. A subtle, almost invisible nudge telling her that maybe she's missing out. That maybe she's falling behind. That maybe her life, her body, her love, her youth aren't enough anymore. And it's not just social media. Her friends play a role too. The divorced women, the empowered ladies who left their husbands and are suddenly glowing with freedom and excitement. These aren't just friends. They're dealers of validation. They whisper stories of rebellion, adventure, and self-discovery. They normalize leaving stability behind, showing her that chasing desire isn't just acceptable. It's celebrated. This combination of digital comparison and peer influence fuels anxiety. It transforms tiny insecurities into urgent needs. Every scroll reinforces the idea that her life is ordinary, while everyone else's is extraordinary. Every compliment a stranger leaves online, every story she reads about someone starting over after 40 feeds the craving for attention she can't get from stability alone. The danger? Impulsive decisions begin to feel logical. A new friend, a new crush, a small thrill. All become proof that she's still alive, still desired, still relevant. Social media doesn't just reflect reality, it distorts it. It shows a world filtered, curated, and perfected, and her brain compares that fantasy to her real life. Men often miss it because they see social media as harmless. But for women in their late 30s and 40s, it's a chemical amplifier, turning subtle dissatisfaction into something urgent, powerful, and impossible to ignore. Stay alert. The platforms she scrolls daily aren't just apps, they're accelerants. And when combined with peer pressure, they can push her toward choices that change everything. Here's the moment most men never see coming. The single compliment that changes everything. At 42, a passing remark from a stranger, maybe at the grocery store, the gym, or online, can feel more powerful than 15 years of devotion from the man standing in her life every day. Why? Because your attention, no matter how loving, is predictable. It's chosen, obligated, safe. But a stranger's notice? That's optional. That's proof she's still desired. That's proof she still matters outside the world you built together. Her brain craves that rush. The dopamine hit from being noticed, from being wanted, becomes a hunger she can't satisfy at home. It's not about you failing. It's not about your love disappearing. It's about biology and psychology colliding. Your stability doesn't spark the chemistry her rewired mind demands. And here's the danger. What starts as small excitement grows into obsession. She lingers on comments, remembers passing glances, imagines possibilities. The marriage that once fulfilled her now feels routine, flat, even invisible. And you? You miss it because the signs are subtle at first. The extra time she spends on her phone, the way she lights up around new faces, the nostalgia she shares about her past, all hinting that her attention is shifting. Early warning signs are there if you know where to look. Protective behavior around her phone, excuses for meetings or girls' nights. Compliments that suddenly feel like emotional currency. Subtle comparisons between you and the world outside. Pay attention. This craving for validation is not malicious. It's biological, chemical, unstoppable if left unchecked. Recognizing it early is the only chance you have to understand the changes in her behavior before they escalate. And before what you built together starts to slip away. Because once this hunger takes root, it rarely stays small. This is the point where subtle changes become undeniable. At first, it's small. A lingering look at her phone, a new gym schedule, a weekend girls' trip she insists is just fun. But soon, the craving for excitement and validation escalates. Emotional withdrawal follows. She stops sharing her thoughts with you. Conversations that once flowed effortlessly become short, distracted, even tense. The laughter fades. The intimacy feels like routine. And then the obsessions begin. She invests in her appearance in ways she never did before. New clothes, hair, procedures, skincare routines. She wants to look not just good, but irresistible. Every compliment from a stranger, every fleeting glance fuels a fire your devotion can no longer reach. For some, this sparks affairs. Emotional at first, then physical. The devoted mother and wife who once counted her identity in years spent nurturing her family now seeks proof she's desired, alive, relevant. The heartbreak is real. Children sense it. Trust fractures. Family stability wavers. Consider this. A man I knew had been married for 18 years. He had 2 children, a home they built together. One day, his wife stopped confiding in him. She spent more time with friends who encouraged finding herself, and a brief connection with a coworker became an emotional affair. Within months, she left. Not out of malice, but driven by a neurological hunger, a chemical need, a psychological shift he couldn't compete with. This isn't about right or wrong. It's not morality. It's biology and psychology. Her brain chemistry changed, her priorities rewired, her identity shifted. Stability and commitment can't compete with the rush of novelty and validation she now craves. Men are blindsided because they don't understand this isn't personal. It's inevitable for some. And once chaos hits, it can unravel years of life, love, and family before you even realize what's happening. It's not just biology. Society is pouring gasoline on the fire. Magazines, social media influencers, talk shows, and empowerment culture all tell her the same thing. You deserve more. You're special. Don't settle. Live your truth. Every article, every post, every viral story reinforces the idea that a life built on stability, on commitment, on family is not enough. That leaving, chasing excitement, or seeking attention outside her marriage is brave, not reckless. Meanwhile, men hear a very different story. Turning 40 is celebrated. Experience, confidence, career stability, and even a few gray hairs are framed as attractive. Society tells men they're entering their prime. Women are told they're past theirs. Men are reassured. Women are panicked. This difference is critical. Men are told to enjoy aging. Women are told to fight it. And this creates what I call the validation trap. She's biologically craving excitement, socially told it's acceptable to chase it, and surrounded by peers celebrating it. Every compliment she receives from a stranger, every story she reads about women finding themselves at 40, reinforces the idea that what she has isn't enough, that stability equals boredom, that commitment equals oppression. Peer pressure amplifies it. Divorced friends, empowered colleagues, and online communities all validate the panic. They frame normal marriages as cages, ordinary lives as failures. And while she's wired to seek connection, validation, and excitement, society ensures she sees leaving as heroic rather than destructive. The result? The perfect storm. Biology nudges her toward novelty. Culture applauds the rebellion. Social networks and peers reinforce it. Stability and devotion, what you've spent years building, become invisible. If you think this is about morality, you're missing the point. This is systemic. Social pressure combined with the biological rewiring creates a perfect environment for chaos. And if you're not paying attention, it can sweep away everything you thought was safe. This isn't just theory. This is your life, your family, your future. And the first rule of survival? Recognize the signs early. Please pay attention to subtle shifts, nostalgia for her past, sudden obsession with appearance, new friends who encourage rebellion, or compliments from strangers that light her up in ways you can't compete with. These aren't small quirks. They're the first tremors before the earthquake. Seeing them early gives you a chance to prepare. Next, safeguard your emotional and financial life. Document important conversations. Keep a record of decisions and responsibilities. Ensure your assets are secure. Protect your children's stability. This isn't about mistrust, it's about awareness. Chaos often arrives quietly, and the aftermath is easier to survive if you've prepared in advance. And here's the hardest lesson: don't blame yourself. This isn't about your failings, your love, your devotion. You could have been the perfect husband, and still, she might have left. Her choices are driven by biology, psychology, and social pressure, not by your worth. Understanding that removes guilt and allows clarity. You must also protect your own mind. Stay grounded. Stay rational. Accept that some battles, her panic, her craving for validation, her fear of aging, aren't yours to fight. You can't reason with a chemical reaction or reverse years of social conditioning. You can only manage your response, your stability, your life. Remember, this is reality, not fantasy. The woman you married is changing in ways you can't control. And if you fail to prepare, the consequences will ripple through your life and your children's lives. Pay attention, document, protect, understand, survive. Because acknowledging the truth doesn't make you cynical. It makes you alive, aware, and ready to face the storm without being destroyed. Here's the truth most men will never hear until it's too late. For some women, this panic is inevitable. Not because they're cruel, not because they're selfish, but because biology, psychology, and society all converge to create a perfect storm. The midlife crisis doesn't whisper. It shatters stability. The consequences are brutal. Years of devotion, trust, and love can vanish in months. Marriages crumble. Children feel the ripple effects, confused, torn, emotionally abandoned. What you built together, the home you created, the routines that once felt safe, all can be undone by forces beyond your control. It's collateral damage in a war she didn't choose, but one she feels compelled to fight. This isn't a morality tale. It's a reality check. The woman you married, the one you pledged forever to, changes in ways you cannot prevent. Her priorities shift. Her brain chemistry rewires. Her cravings for attention, excitement, and validation can override loyalty and love. And society, with its constant messages of empowerment and self-fulfillment, doesn't help. It accelerates the process. Understanding this truth is critical. You cannot judge what is biological and social. You cannot reason with what is chemical. You can only observe, prepare, and protect yourself and those who depend on you. Understanding doesn't make you callous. It makes you aware. It allows you to face what's coming without being destroyed by it. So reflect. Recognize the stakes. Recognize the warning signs. Recognize that the storm isn't personal. It's inevitable for some. And by understanding the brutal truth, you can navigate it with clarity, foresight, and a level of emotional survival most men never achieve. Because once the panic hits, denial won't save you. Preparation will. We've walked through the storm, the subtle signs, the rewiring of the brain, the social pressures, the cravings for validation, and the chaos that can follow. What becomes clear is this: some women, driven by biology and culture, will experience a midlife crisis that shakes the very foundations of their relationships. This isn't moral failure. It isn't a judgment on character. It's a reality written into our biology and reinforced by society. The lesson? Awareness is your only defense. Recognize the subtle changes early. Pay attention to nostalgia, shifts in priorities, new obsessions with youth, and the influence of peers or social media. Document what matters. Protect yourself and your family. Understand that love, devotion, and stability can't always compete with chemical cravings and cultural pressure. But preparation can give you clarity, strength, and survival. And here's the truth that lingers long after the story ends. The woman you married may not be the woman you see today. The transformation isn't about malice. It's about panic, fear, and the relentless passage of time. Some choices she makes will leave scars. Some decisions will change lives forever. And for you, the only choice is to face it honestly, without denial, without guilt, without illusion. So reflect on this. What happens when love, loyalty, and years of devotion collide with biology and society's relentless messaging? How do you navigate a reality where stability is no longer enough and desire becomes a storm you can't calm? Think about it. Talk about it. Share your thoughts below. Because the conversation doesn't end when the video does. It begins with understanding what so many men never see coming.